Wait, no.
Hey, everybody, welcome to ESTHEROLOGY, episode 10. We're excited to have a guest with us today. Her name is Maureen Grudzinski. She is the promoter of the world's largest ghost hunt, author, astrologist, psychic content creator, and founder of A Little Witchy. She also does healings, tarot cards, and psychic mediumship. She can also marry you if you're in the Wilkesboro metropolitan area and up to 100 miles surrounding radius. So we're going to bring her on. We're excited to have her. She has a special announcement, and we're glad you're all here. We're going to go to the YouTube so we can watch the chat. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So my actual announcement tonight is that I will be joining ERRT Radio next week, Thursday. I'm really excited, so thank you for the opportunity. I'll be broadcasting prior to Esther. I'll be on between 6 and 8 on Thursdays. My show is going to be called Incantations and Elixirs, where conversation meets with cocktails.
Yay!
So grab your favorite drink and sit with us, and we will discuss some of the more interesting and taboo things in life.
I like it.
A Little Witchy, is that a website? Is that a business name? What is that?
It's actually both. So I began my business and I needed to come up with a name and I couldn't think of anything. So I was walking around my house and I was trying to think of things and I was just saying things out loud. And I said, I don't know what to call it. All I know is that I'm a little witchy. And that's where it came from. So I did come up with the website, and that is the name of the business. It's not A Little Witchy, it's A Little Witchy.
A Little Witchy?
A Little Witchy. And then from there, I had some spin-off businesses that began. I was the mayor of my town, and I was able to perform marriages. So the umbrella business, A Little Witchy, does also have magical matrimonials by A Little Witchy. So I do perform ceremonies, and they're nothing like anyone else's weddings that you'll ever see. Everything is very unique to the person or the couple. There is no discrimination at all. Everyone should be able to love. I think that's extremely important. I take each individual couple, I speak to them via Zoom. I ask them their love story, and I make sure that that is part of the ceremony. I've done weddings in cemeteries. I've done weddings in snowstorms in the middle of a forest. I've done theme weddings. Tomorrow I'm doing Alice in Wonderland, and I'm going to be the March Hare. So my upcoming one for next year, it was supposed to be this year, and I'm really excited about this one because I became very good friends with this couple, and I'm very excited that it's finally going to happen for them. It's going to be a Viking wedding, so I'm really excited about that one. So that will be next October instead of March when it was supposed to be. I had a little spin-off onto something else. I think everyone who's in the paranormal world, they start to notice that people kind of fall off from their life, and it turns out that it's supposed to happen. And I tell people that it's not necessarily the case that they're negative people or they're bad people. I don't like to use the word bad or good. I use positive or negative, but there's perception and intention, and I think that that's a better way of explaining it. I think that people either stay in your life your entire life and they're meant to be there for forever. or people are supposed to hold a place in your life, and they're there with you for just certain moments to teach you a lesson. I think that some people are there to um, either just for fun times, and they're there to pass the time. But I think that some people are there to teach you lessons that are the hard lessons. They're there to make life a little bit difficult for you so you know what to look for in the future. And there was a specific lesson that I learned within the last 3 to 4, 5 years, and I couldn't use the words that I really wanted to use. So I said, "Hex you." And that created a whole separate business, still under the umbrella of a Low Witchy. But I think it really made me realize that there are some bullies out there. And I've dealt with that kind of for my whole life. And I noticed that I fight for the underdog. And I've literally fought for people physically. I fought for people verbally, mentally, spiritually. Some of my jobs actually were about fighting for people, sometimes legally. And I think it's really important that if you're able to do that, no matter in what way it is, that you do it. And I came up with this, and I thought that it was really interesting that I connected deeply with witches my whole life. When I was little, I've always wanted to be a witch for Halloween, or witches in TV shows, whether it be, the teeny bopper witch in a show, or whether it was, dark witchcraft, or in The Wizard of Oz. It was always the witch that I connected with. So in the witch trials, you know, it really connected with me. So I had a couple of things in my head of what I wanted to have put on as logos on T-shirts, or with, you know, keychains, or whatever it was. So I created a brand and a logo and a merchandise line. So that was another thing that I started. But I think it's important that people realize that it's not just a money-making scheme for me. This is something that I do because Hex You is more about standing up for yourself and having a belief, and making it about standing up for other people as well, and not allowing someone to bully you or anyone else. And it's important to me that this is, have some strength, be strong, stick up for yourself. Don't be bullied by doctors who, aren't taking care of you, or, you know, at the bus stop, or anywhere. I don't care if you're a little kid, or if you're an adult, or you're elderly. The things that I truly despise in life are the abuse of little kids, animals, the elderly, disabled people, anyone who can't speak up for themselves or take care of themselves. And then that took a further spin. Um, I decided I wanted to write children's books, because I'm watching as kids are not acting like they did when I was a child. We were told to listen, only speak when spoken to, which I don't think is necessarily supposed to happen either. I think that you should speak up for yourself, or, tell another adult if something's happening to you. So I wanted to write this children's book and teach about morals and ethics and values. And I think it's important that kids know, and if they're not being taught that at home, that they should get it from someplace else. But I think that as a parent, or a teacher, or a guardian, or someone is reading this to them, that if the parent or whomever didn't learn that from day one, that they're also learning about it as well. So I'm trying to I guess I'm like infiltrating everything all over the place, and I don't know. I think it's really important that people are learning from me. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just, me in a witch hat and trying to create a brand. It's trying to create a movement.
Because you get emotionally and spiritually involved with people you meet, right?
Always.
It's a lifestyle. It's not just a job or a business.
When I marry someone, they become friends for life. I mean, I've become such good friends with some of the people that I've married that we go on trips with them. We, we stay friends with them for forever. And there's some that, I hug them and I kiss them goodnight and I wish them good luck. But there are some people that we talk to on a daily basis. There are some people that I've gone to do home cleansings for, and their kids come and give me hugs, or, it's a blessing and it's a gift. And I'm so grateful to have these people because they've truly become family to me. And when I said that you kind of let people slough off, some of them are blood. You don't have to have family that's blood. You can choose. And I never thought that. My family always said blood's thicker than water, but some of them have never shown that to me.
Yeah, you start finding a soul family.
Yeah, I was talking the other night to Entity Voices Paranormal, and they've kind of become like family to me. And I told them that when I had this situation happen, I was talking to a Comcast guy, and he said, "Okay, so what's your email?" And I said, "A little witchy." And he said, "So what do you do?" And I told him, and he said, "Oh, because I have abilities." And then I went to, the cell phone shop, and he asked me for my email, and he said, "Oh, because I have things that come into my house." And it's kind of like once you start to come out of the broom closet, all these people start to show up. It's really interesting.
That's kind of the way it is with UFOs. So,
Yeah.
what would be the main difference in like the Wiccan beliefs and the witch belief?
So, Wiccan beliefs they strictly believe in just witchcraft, and they have a coven and they practice witchcraft. For me, I consider myself a witch, and what I have done is I've taken the beautiful, positive parts of all different types of religion and different beliefs, and I've kind of put together what I love the most about everything. So I'm not strictly Wiccan. I've never really I've kind of always been the black sheep and the rebel of everything.
Right.
So I tend to really like rocking the boat, and I don't like organized anything. I don't like organized religion. I don't like organized education. I don't like organized whatever. And if somebody says it's organized, I almost like, you know, so I kind of
Yeah, that
will,
comes with a bunch of rules. Yeah.
yeah. My mother even, when I was really young, she would say, "It's just because it is." And I would say, "But why? Why is the sky blue? Why did that happen? What? When? Where?" And she would literally send me off with my godparents. You know, she would be like, "I'm going to paint a room, and I can't stand her to be with me. We have to get rid of her because she'll drive me nuts all day." I I was the questioner, and I think I even said the other night, that her nickname for me was Curiouser and Curiouser because I never stopped asking questions.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. I think the kids should ask questions. I think they should be very curious, and that's how you learn. It's knowledge. It's powerful.
And as children, when they soak something in, it stays with them their whole life because their brain is just soaking everything up.
I remember asking questions when I was really little, and I still remember the questions that I asked, and I still remember the answers I got. And I can tell you this much: they were wrong. Wrong.
I heard on Entity Voices, your host said that you found your gift after an accident. Is that kind of what happened?
So I've always had gifts, and I do remember I called them watchers one day when someone said, "So what were they?" And I said watchers. And I don't even know where that came. It was like it came out of my mouth. When we talked earlier, you had said, channeling, and I was like,
Channeling.
yeah. So I know what that means because like some things just come out of my mouth, and I'm like, where did that even come from? I had no idea what that meant. There were 7 beings that used to stand around my bed, and they were kind of cloaked with, do you remember glowworms?
I do.
Okay. So the glowworms kind of had that bluish, glowy, really soft, comforting, bluish tone. And they had that tone. They had a flat plate-like face. It was almost like a porcelain-y look to them. They had little tiny straight mouths that never moved. I don't know what the purpose is of having a mouth if you're not going to use it, but it was there. 2 pinholes for noses, and these humongous, like comma type eyes. And they were not black, they were more like cobalty blue, but they were, I don't know, so filled with emotion. And they had cloaks, and they just stood around my bed. And I called them watchers, I guess because they were just standing there watching me. And I knew that they were safe and they were there to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was around 3 or 4, I had this huge, and it seemed huge to me probably because my hands were so small, but it probably would have maybe been about this big now. This huge orange nightlight that looked like a goldfish, and it had sparkles in it. This is how much like detail I remember. And I went to plug it in, and my parents were all sitting on the porch with like all the other parents in the neighborhood in the summertime. I remember the windows being open. I was really hot. I remember even what I had on that day. And as I went to plug it in, I had my thumb on one of the prongs. And as I plugged it in, I knew I got zapped, but I didn't feel any pain. And I felt a hand, and I went like this. And this really tall being, and it was one of them, I heard it say, and it wasn't female or male, I heard it say, "You're fine, everything will be okay." And I went like this, and it just kind of pulled me back and put me aside. And my thumb had this black scorched mark. And when my mother came in, oh my God, what did you do? Like, totally different response. And I thought, I burnt myself. And I was little enough that it wasn't that kind of, I burnt it. I burnt my hand. And I said, I big girl. So I couldn't even like formulate a full sentence. So that's how little I was. A big girl. And I remember looking, and I could still see it, but they couldn't see it. So it's there for me. So was it alien? Was it ascended masters? Was it, I don't know.
This is interesting you say that. I'm involved with a project with Jesse Peak called Project Batek 404, And we have found that people that have been electrician helpers, or I mean, a lot of the people we interview have been shocked before something happens. Now, I was shocked when I was little, and my son was shocked when he was little. And the UFO that came over our house, we witnessed it together. So there is some kind of electrical thing in your brain that gets switched when you get shocked, and it opens you up to like all the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
I would say the majority of people.
My father's an electrician, and he's been shocked. I mean, he was actually tossed off the roof.
It's an interesting connection. You know, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. That is not the only electrical thing I have. Since I'm little, when I get extremely angry, lights flicker, I shatter light bulbs. I could drive through a street and all the lights go out as I go underneath them. I can start fires.
Really?
Oh, don't make me super.
So
I mean, like,
this kind of picked you then.
it's bad. It's really bad.
Do you feel like the influences of the watchers and your environment and the people, it kind of chose you for what you ended up doing? Was it a path that led you that way? You were
No, I think that they were there to protect me because of what I was capable of.
okay.
I'm a fire, well, I'm a fire and a water sign. So I spark myself up and I calm myself down. But that wasn't the only thing. So they said that I had an accident and that kind of like did things. Well, I had an accident and they found a mass in my lung. So that started my illness streak. I think what happened was my guides were trying to tell me you're not supposed to be doing this job. And then I went to another job. And then it was kind of like I got kicked on my ass again. And that's not what I was supposed to be doing. And I was very, very sick. And this second thing that happened, I wound up having mold and heavy metal poisoning.
Oh no.
And I was blacking out every 5 minutes. And I got sicker and sicker and sicker. And I wound up with multi-system atrophy. So all my organs started to shut down and all of my senses became heightened. Well, when your senses become heightened, so does your sixth sense. So I did have all these abilities, but man, did they become crazy. So I would go downstairs to get a snack and I'd open the pantry and I would hear swing band music.
Hmm.
I didn't need a snack that bad, so I would go away. And then the next day I would go and I would hear marching band music. Every day, different senses would be heightened or different things would be happening. One day I'd wake up and I'd be walking completely sideways and I would be very nauseous. So I never knew what was going to happen until one day I walked downstairs. I watched a woman turn the corner to another room. There was a man standing in my hallway with like a zoot suit, and he looked just as shocked to see me as I looked to see him. And as I got my drink and just completely avoided the entire situation, I came back around the corner, and as I went to walk upstairs, I saw something kind of fluttering, and it was a young man, about 22. He was sitting on my couch and he didn't have a head.
Where was his head?
He was decapitated. So I kind of like started asking questions in my own head, but I was getting answers. And I thought, this was something I've wanted to do my whole life because I was always interested in it, and I've had experiences before. I've had a door fly open. I've had cabinets all open. I had woken up to a full body apparition laying next to me in a bed after a surgery. I was told I was crazy, or it was anesthesia, or it was whatever. And I know for a fact that when you have anesthesia, you're kind of dangling out there, or if you have a near-death experience, you're dangling out there a little bit more. And anesthesia is the best nap on the planet. I don't care what anybody says, it feels so good. So anytime somebody says you're going to have a surgery, I'm like, is it full anesthesia? Because whatever you are. This was the day that things blew up for me. I mean, I did see my mom twice, but she had messages for me. I don't really get a whole lot of family members that come to visit. I think it's just because I'm too close. But this kid gave me a message for my son, and I couldn't sleep then because I was too amped up. And it turned out that it was on Facebook. I was flipping through Facebook. I was trying to just keep my mind busy until my son came home. And I saw memories show up. It was the night of their graduation, and it was his friend. When I asked him, he said he committed suicide. Well, there was one kid that committed suicide, and there was another kid that played basketball, and they went to play basketball, and he went through the windshield of a car. So we figured out that it was the kid who went through the windshield. And it was a year that a couple of kids had committed suicide that had happened. So it was tough to go through this, and it was really hard. He had a tough time trying to talk about it, but the kid was in basketball sneakers, basketball shorts, t-shirt, and he had his leg crossed just like boys do, and his foot was just going. So that was the flutter. And then I thought, I really need to figure this out because now I need to figure out how to control it. So I went to a psychic development class after I had taken Reiki. The Reiki was what opened it because when they attuned me, I saw everything. I saw all my watchers. I saw ascended masters. They all came down to congratulate me and say thank you for what you're doing. And that blew my third eye wide open.
That's fascinating.
I couldn't figure out what it was, but I saw the faces, and it's what I saw around my bed. Then all of a sudden, it wasn't 7 anymore, it was 13 of them. So then I went to the psychic development class, and they said, pick a letter out of this bag, and whoever you match up with the Scrabble tile is who you're going to work with. And I thought, I'm here for a reading. I'm not here to learn. I want to find out why this is happening. Well, I guess this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I was forced to read this person, and I said, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. We did a meditation, and it brought all the senses in. And at the end, they say, you're going to walk up to a table, sit down. It's a table set for 2, and someone is just going to walk out. They don't tell you who. It's just going to be whomever is meant to come to meet with you. And it was my mom again. We didn't talk about her death. We didn't talk about what was wrong with her. It was like any other day. And the first thing I thought was, I've never seen her in that dress before. I never saw her with that hairstyle. She looks so good.
Yeah, you've done accepted this is her, and now you're looking at details. It's like not even a question anymore. You know it's her.
Yeah. And we talked about nothing and everything. It was like you know how they say this show Seinfeld, it was about nothing and everything. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the weirder thing happened. Like she was supposed to get up and walk back in, but everyone that passed away came behind her. They apologized. They told me why they passed away. Every secret was revealed to me. It was like it all happened so fast, and I had every answer I ever needed about the universe, about them, about what happened, why it happened. And then they all turned around and they left. And then I was sitting back in my chair again, and I was sitting sobbing, and hot water was just pouring down my face, and I felt a napkin or a tissue or something in my hand, and I thought, "I'm the only person here that doesn't know someone else, and I feel so stupid and have to go read someone." And when I went to read this girl, she had the kindest face, and she said, "It's okay, baby, you take a second, but you're going first." And I thought, "Oh, shit." I'm like, "I don't know if I could do this." And she said, "Just close your eyes and picture the shape of like the shoulders and the head and whatever." And she said, "And then just listen to whatever you hear." So I thought to myself, okay, so if I ask myself, what are we having for dinner tonight? And I usually go chicken, beef, tacos, and it takes me that long. That's me. If it's chicken, then it's somebody else. It's got to be somebody up in here. And I normally think, okay, so if it's that quick, it's got to be a guide or a spirit or something. And then all of a sudden I heard the name Lucretia. And I thought, that's a weird name. Like, that's not James or Robert.
Yeah.
And I said, "Who's Lucretia?" And her mouth dropped open and she threw her face into her lap and she said, "Girl, you playing?" And I said, "I wish I was. Games are fun." And all of a sudden, it was like this movie was playing out in my head.
Right.
I watched these two people walk down the street in their Sunday best in like the 40s. And I saw him as like a postal worker, and he was like waving to all the people. They all knew him in the neighborhood. And I told her everything that I was seeing. And she's like, "I need to call my granny because I don't know that side very well, but I know that name and I know exactly what you're talking." I said, "I think everyone in the street is following him to church." And she goes, "He was a pastor."
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, "He's in a navy blue dress with white polka dots and red heels. And girl, they are beautiful people. And they have a Southern accent, and everyone loves them. And there's old cars, and it's tree-lined streets, and it's such a pretty neighborhood." And then all of a sudden I went, and I couldn't breathe. And I said, "Something heart related, but it's lungs too. They're like drowning in their own lung fluid, and I can't breathe."
Oh, no.
And that's when I realized I was a physical medium too.
Oh, shit.
And I never knew that before. So every time I felt anxious, or every time I felt like I was going to throw up and I had no reason to, or every time I had a wicked headache and it was gone like that as soon as I walked away from somebody, it made sense. Every time I went through a battlefield and I felt like I was dying, that's why.
So you're really, really sensitive empath.
It
Super
sucks.
sensitive, yeah.
And when I have that happen now, because I've built up my abilities, if I don't block myself, if I fall asleep in the car and we drive through a battlefield, I'll sit straight up and I'll see someone's face, and then I'll hear the muster roll being like read of all the people who died. And I'll say, "Start writing these names down." This is crazy. You got to, I'm so in awe of what can be done that I'm like, "So do you know the name Lucretia?" And they'll say, "Oh my God." That's amazing. And I'm like, I love this. This is so much fun. And I love when I can give someone peace and comfort and closure because I think when my mom died, I couldn't, I was the one that had to give her the morphine, and it was so painful to have to make that decision. But if I didn't, it's also selfish.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if I made the right decision. And she actually thanked me through a channeler, and she said that my father was being selfish by not doing what he was supposed to do, and he was the first, I can't think now. He was the first one listed to make any kind of medical decisions, and he wasn't, so I had to lock him out of the room. It was tough.
But you can connect with them now. Probably easier than when they were living.
Yeah, but I can't connect with her. She's shown up. She showed up one time, like the week before she passed. I guess she was kind of like back and forth, and she wasn't able to speak. She had no autonomic control, so she couldn't control anything that she wasn't able to control on her own regularly. So she couldn't eat, she couldn't swallow, she couldn't control her blood pressure, her heart rate, nothing, her breathing. I had to keep sucking the stuff out of her lungs regularly. She couldn't swallow. So she was like drowning. And she came to me a week before she passed away. And she woke me up by sitting on my bed. And I felt the warmth, and I smelled her combination of cheap perfume. she was like thrifty. It wasn't cheap, I guess. Her perfume and baby powder, which nobody used baby powder because it's bad for you. And she went like this to my face, and she said, and it's weird because she said exactly what the watcher said. Everything's going to be okay, Reen. And I was thinking, am I half asleep? Am I dreaming? But the weird part was when I kind of fully woke and when that happens to you, your heart is pounding so fast that there's no way you can be sleeping. There was an indentation in the bed, and it was warm. And then she came back. She passed away August 31st. She came back the week before my parents' anniversary in November. We were going to Nag's Head to spend time with my cousins for Thanksgiving, which was my parents' anniversary. I woke up. I went to get a drink. I walked down my stairs. My dog and cat used to kind of race up the stairs and turn the corner into my bedroom, but this time they stopped dead. And I said, come on, guys, I'm really tired. It's time to go back to bed. And they wouldn't move, which I thought was strange. And I stepped over them, and when I did, she was sitting on my bed, again, in white pajamas with red high heels, and they were stilettos. Her hair was done. She had makeup on. She was very vain. And she was sitting with her arms crossed and her legs crossed, and she had her head down, and she was shaking her head. And I felt very ashamed, and I didn't know why, but that empathic feeling, you just know, you could read a room.
Yeah.
And I started to cry, and I couldn't look at her. And she said, honey, if you don't learn to block it out, you're not going to make it for much longer. She knew what was to come.
Yeah.
And when I finally figured out what to say, I said, Mom, I'm so sorry. And I felt like I needed to apologize to her because she gave birth to me. She wanted me to live a long life. I felt like I needed to apologize. And I lifted my head and I said, Mom, I'm sorry, and she was gone. And I figured out that I needed to block out the negativity because it was going to kill me. I wasn't supposed to work in the law office, that got me sick. I wasn't supposed to be around negative people because it made me stressed. It made me worse. I figured it out too late. But I think what I've lived through and how I've dealt with it made me a stronger person. I've learned a lot of amazing lessons. It's helped me be a kinder person. It's helped me to teach other people, and it's helped me with what I do now. I think money means nothing to me. Living under a big roof is nothing. Having a fancy car is nothing. Brand names mean nothing to me. I could live in a cardboard box, and as long as I have my family that I have right now, my animals, and just necessities is everything to me. And that's how she was.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
You said the watcher said everything's going to be okay,
When I electrocuted myself.
and your mom said the same thing. I have a hybrid daughter somewhere else. And when I met her and saw her, she was really, really sick. And that's what I told her.
Huh.
Yeah. And every question I've had for you, you've already answered. What do you love most about what you do? You just covered that. Helping people.
That's what I was put here for. I was told that my purpose is to help other people and to be a whistleblower, which I've done a couple times. And my purpose is to continue to have joy even on the hardest days. And I'm a jokester. Like, I could be in the worst situation. I could be hanging from a cliff by a fingernail, and I'll look at somebody and be like, "It's a good day to die."
Could have been. Sophie, we like Maureen too. And thank
who's
you,
that?
Marino. Ufi is our ambassador.
Oh, hello. I like you guys already.
She's brilliant. She's a lot of fun.
I like fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like a 12-year-old boy. My head is in the gutter sometimes, and I'm like a little kid a lot. I'll drive into a city and there's tons of lights, and the beach, they're my breaking points.
Like all the sparklies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fairy lights.
Yeah.
People say that when they meet me, that's how I am. I'm like, "Hi, hello, nice to meet you. Let's go play."
Anybody who missed it, Maureen is going to be having her own show from 6 to 8 on Thursdays here.
Yep.
Just wanted to mention it in case anybody came in late.
And she'll be doing her own. She'll be doing her own things. If she wants to do readings for people, she can. And if she wants to just have a guest and talk with the guest, that's up to her. It'll be her.
Man, you're really pushing those readings.
Yeah.
Ron loves readings.
I love readings. Look what I found. I found some cards.
I had to take a break from this for a little bit and re-ground myself, you know.
All right.
And some things started coming to me that about channeling. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about people I've heard say things out of place that didn't fit them, and they were channeling and don't know it. So that was actually what I was planning on talking about later, and you've already brought it up. But Maureen, she's taking her time out so everybody can kind of get to know her and all she does, all she's involved with. And this is basically to introduce her for her new show here.
Yeah, so that's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
And she
She's a
already got.
little witchy.
A little witchy.
A little
Alright.
witchy.
What is your Facebook page, Maureen?
Everything's a little witchy, and sometimes it's a little witchy one, but you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My website is www.alilwitchy.com. My email address is alilwitchy@yahoo.com. And I have some blogs that I wrote that are really fun to read and very interesting. I had kind of a Mandela effect happen to me, which was really odd. And I think that a lot of people would be interested to read that. That's on my website. I have some ghost sightings that you might want to look at. I was also on Entity Voices the other night, which that was a really cool show. It shows a lot of evidence. It shows a couple of videos with the flashlight game that I played with some spirit friends.
Saw that. It was fun.
It was fun, wasn't it? And
Oofy has a question for you.
okay.
Maureen, what sort of topics do you like to talk about?
I like to talk. Just in general, I like to talk about everything. My biggest thing, I think, this is something that I've really gotten involved in. I started doing some research on past lives with children. I've noticed that children who remember their past lives and really like to talk about it have night terrors, which is really frightening, I think. And I think the reason why I specifically got involved in it was because my son had night terrors, and it bothered me a lot because he would scream at the top of his lungs. It took him a really long time to calm down. He would have severe reactions, and he couldn't talk about anything. We couldn't get him to calm down. However, he started talking about a situation about his other grandfather who lived in a big white house on a hill, and he died, and he would get very emotional about it. And there was no other grandfather in a big white house on a hill. But just like any kids, I think they all kind of tend to get fixated on something in particular. Some want to get involved in dinosaurs, some get involved in, I think it's called Paw Patrol now. Some were involved with Barney. This kid was originally involved in trucks, then he got involved in dinosaurs, and it was like a fixation obsession type of thing. But then he got involved with sharks. And when I say fixated, I mean obsessed. He could tell you, if you pointed at a tooth of a shark, he could tell you what shark it came from. It was crazy. He knew every shark in the ocean. He could tell you what part of the world it came from, and he can point on a map. He can tell you if it was a hot or cold water shark and everything about them. The story kept getting to be more detailed. He could tell me what the grandfather looked like. He said he had a brother. He told me their names. And then he told me how the grandfather died. He was eaten by sharks.
Wow.
Then I asked him how he was eaten by sharks. If he lived on a hill, it sounded like it was rural. And he said, no, no, Mama, it didn't happen that way. He wasn't home at the time. And I was talking to Ron about this the other day, and we used to love to watch the movie Jaws together. He loved the beach just like I do, and it never prevented him from going in the ocean or anything like that. He's still a big beach lover. He actually seemed to like get very involved with watching the captain in the movie Jaws, and when he sang Spanish Lady, he kind of like knew the song. I'm actually wondering if this was a past life and his grandfather was in Pearl Harbor and he was kind of floating around in the ocean and they didn't come to save these men fast enough, so they were eaten by sharks.
That is a possibility.
So it's really interesting to me. He doesn't remember this. My parents told me not to speak to him about it. They didn't want him. First they said it was crap, but they didn't believe in any of this. My mother eventually apologized to me after she passed away. She told me that she's sorry that she didn't believe me because now she's visiting me. My father did believe it because he saw my grandfather. He doesn't talk about it. But it's interesting that all these kids have night terrors and they seem to have past lives that they remember, and it would make sense because they're having a night terror about something that was traumatic that they had happen. So I've been trying to do a lot of research. I've talked to other people. I have a friend right now who is in his 30s, and he went to sleep one night the same as he usually does, nothing unusual. He had a dream that he was in a battle and he saw everything about a past life. He knew his name, he knew where he came from, he woke up, he researched it, everything was accurate.
I have a little bit experience with that. My son was probably 8. And when they're having this night terror, like he would get up and walk around and look perfectly awake.
Yep.
He was just like not respond to me. He was responding to an environment I could tell, but he wasn't in the same place as me. And it was dinosaurs. He's
Dinosaurs?
27. Yeah, he's 27 now. But I would have to wake him up, even though his eyes were open. You know, he could talk. He would yell, all of that.
That's funny because my son's 27.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
He was born October 3rd.
He's May 4th. But he's got amazing abilities, and he kind of, I think he's afraid of them. He just doesn't want to deal with them.
It'll come time when it's time, I believe.
Hey, so, Maureen, I have an interesting card for you. You know, whenever I say that, right? Now, just because we know who you are and we've been talking a little bit, I understand what you do and what one of your gifts is an empath, right? So I shuffled the cards, I cut the deck, I shuffled again, I cut it again. I didn't look at the cards at all, I just kept shuffling them. And then, look at that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very accurate there.
Did you see the face on that card?
It was weird, wasn't it?
It was.
There were people asking questions, I think, or
Yeah, Ufi says, Maureen, may we infer that past life information may be obtained via dreams and or visions?
Yeah, I actually had a past life regression come through walking down the street one day, and it shocked me so bad I almost fell off the curb. But I had it happen twice where it was just like a really quick, I looked down and my clothes changed and the street changed and the atmosphere changed, and then I was back. And then I came home, I was walking up my stairs and the same thing happened. And because of that, I did a whole past life regression that was kind of guided, and you can slip, it asks you to slip through the crack that's that lifetime. And because I knew that, I could see what kind of clothes they were, and I kind of knew what year it was or whatever. I did that past life regression, and I was able to, it tells you to look to see if you can find a window or a mirror to look in and see what you look like, and to ask somebody what your name is, or like listen for your name, or see if you have a spouse, or what kind of job do you have, or to look around. It gave me everything I needed to know. And I knew my name, my spouse's name, my children's name, what I did, where I lived, what the estate was called. And the weirdest part is I did look it up online, and I found myself, and I actually existed. And the place that I lived was called Brandywine Estates. And now everywhere I go, I see the word Brandywine. Everywhere.
It's so
Wow.
funny because the paranormal and the UFO just intersects with all the same kind of things.
It's like
Those are synchronicities.
it's like they're playing a game with us in this
Yeah.
world. And they're
Yeah.
like, haha, you look stupid. I think somebody asked where they can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my personal page under my full name, or you can find me under Alo Witchy.
Uki also said, Maureen, is there any limitation on the number of past lives an entity may experience or have?
I don't believe so. I actually think that I don't know if people think I'm crazy or not, but hell, that's what we're here for, right? I think we can actually be living two lives at the same time.
We
I
were
mean,
talking about that earlier.
really?
Yeah.
I think that we can be in several dimensions. So if that's the case, couldn't we be living several lives at the same time? Because I really think that I'm obsessed with Shakespeare, and I think that I lived at least two lives at that time. So I think that we could have lived a couple of lives even at that point. So
Mhm.
time's relative,
That's so crazy that we
Now
were
I
just
have a
talking
card
about
for
that.
Esther.
Recognition.
Okay.
Okay.
What
Which is
what I
so
think?
weird, because right before you did that, I was going to say, I love Esther. I wish I could.
Hey, come meet me. We'll have everybody
Oh
come.
my God, we would have a blast.
Of course we would.
All right, now I wonder if anyone else in chat wants a card. Excuse me.
Uzi says thank you earlier, and then she says, Maureen, excellent thought. Multiple concurrent existences, and perhaps not has humans.
Does
that
that
a
mean not
possibility?
as humans, or?
I think she maybe meant not as humans.
Well, I think we started as star seeds, and then I think we became elementals, or maybe, I don't know. I think we were elementals also. I don't know how anybody else feels about that. I definitely think that I was a very mischievous water sprite at one time. And I think we choose where we live based on the ley lines, and the ley lines I don't think it's necessarily a non-human. I think it's humanoid. Because you're still somewhat.
Hey, Maria. Maria's here. This is Maureen.
Hi.
Oopie says,
Yeah,
or
I think that could be the case because I don't think that there's a veil. Everybody keeps saying the veil's thinning. I think there was no veil at one time. Because I was telling Ron this, I think a lot of people were writing books about werewolves and vampires and sprites and gnomes and whatever, and they all seem to be writing the same thing all over the place. Hello.
We're all connected.
Yeah. So how would all these people know to write the same look of a vampire or the same look of a wood sprite or the same or wood elf or whatever?
Channeled.
Yeah.
And they think it's their own thoughts.
Or were they actually seeing them and then the veil closed and now it's open again?
I wish I knew. I think sometimes it gets thinner. I'm not sure.
Or is it just open again?
I would love to know.
Now, I was talking to you, Maureen, about I don't believe in reincarnation in the traditional sense, but I do believe in different lifetimes, if that makes any sense. And so, like, for instance, I have a name that's in my mind that I have thought of for a long time. It's a character that I created within myself. And where I came up with this character, I have no clue, except that it was a message that was given to me. And my character's name is Nikolai Janis. So Nicoli, and then Janus. Now, if you know anything about the god Janus, he's looking both ways, right? The head of the Janus, you know what I mean?
Nikolai and Janice. And my son is Nicholas and my mama is Janice.
And then Ufi had a question. Ufi had another question, Esther.
Maureen, can you estimate the number of minds available for communication in this universe?
Oh man! And then Marco has a guess.
Okay, so by minds, can you estimate the number of minds available for? Oh, geez. I mean, I would be severely arrogant to say that we are the only thing on this planet or in this universe.
Right.
Because we have a very shallow gene pool. I couldn't even guess. I mean, like infinity Googleplex to the nth.
I think Marco said quadrillion, bazillion, gazillion.
Yeah, I mean, times 5 billion.
Probably.
Yeah, interesting. Now, continue with my story. I wound up on North America, probably somewhere way up in, Canada or someplace up there, Not here in America, but on the northern continent. And it was in around 850 current time slot, 850 AD. All right. Now I've lived through 850 to 900 to 1000 to 11, 1200, 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800, and then again in this life cycle I was born in 1961. But yet, how would I remember things without looking at it in history? How would I remember things from the early 1900s? Okay. how would I remember being on a ship, with the 3 sails on it, 3 masts with a big ocean sail ship, you know what I mean? It's not something I'd make up. I also remember being on spaceships as well from the future. So I don't know how that works in there. um, different parts of the time clock, but still, I think we exist simultaneously, not necessarily reincarnation, but we have the same life force throughout time. Does that make any sense? So
Oofy's got about 2 more questions.
go ahead. Yeah, ask her.
Okay.
Let's see. Have you ever speculated upon the nature of the mechanisms that enable your own extrasensory experience? I think everyone has. Did I miss a question though? Oh, are non-humans empathic? Is that?
Love you, Oofy.
Possibly.
I think like if you're asking about like animals, yeah. I mean, my dog, if I get sick, my dog is right there with me, head in the toilet. Very, very empathic. As far as trees and plants and things like that, I think they react. So there's a possibility. As far as what was the other question? Have you ever speculated upon the nature of the mechanisms that enable your own extrasensory experiences? Yeah. So at the beginning, when I first had abilities, I just felt that some people use their abilities more often, and some people are more fine-tuned because they might be more interested in it, or some people, I don't know, maybe just like everyone has a job and they're better at it. However, when I did get sick, my autonomic system went berserk. And I noticed that some days there would be like a tire fire and I would smell bacon instead of tires. I was just lucky. However, I started to think about it a little bit more, and obviously the sixth sense is part of the senses, and I do tend to be able to control my senses more than other people, and it happens to be a rare ability. I was put on a tilt table, and you're supposed to, if you have a problem, you're supposed to actually pass out quickly if you have a vagal nerve issue. And they tried to make me pass out, and they kept making it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And finally, they had to give me nitroglycerin, and that's what did it. They were shocked. It shouldn't happen that way. So I figured out that I'm actually able to control my heart rate, my blood pressure, and it's by concentrating on each of those things and focusing on them. Then I figured out that I'm actually able to kind of like body jump people by, I don't want to say pretending I'm them because that's not what it is. picturing that I'm them or focusing on the fact that I'm them. A girl was literally panicking going to an appointment for a job, and she really needed this job. And I kind of took what I was able to do when I went to the doctor's office, like trying to calm myself down and figure out what to do with my blood pressure or whatever. And I kind of did the same thing. And I didn't warn her in advance. And I felt her heart racing and everything going like chaotic. And she freaked out and said, "Get out of my body." And I felt like a fish flipped inside of me
Oh,
and
wow.
took off out of my body. And to the point where it actually like forced me forward, and she hung up on me. She was a friend of mine. It was the weirdest feeling, but then again, it must have been a weird feeling for her.
If
Um,
if you're doing that, can you see through their eyes?
I can remote view, which I guess would be kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that she was in traffic one day, and she said, "You're never going to guess what's in front of me." And I told her what car it was and what color it was, which was really weird. So now that I know that I'm able to body jump people, I don't want to mind rape people. I don't want to body rape people. I make sure I don't do that. But if someone is having a problem and they're very nervous about a test or going for a job interview or they need help with something, I will help them with that because I want to make sure that they're comfortable. It's never something where I'm like, "Oh, okay, I really can't stand that person. I'm gonna jump inside of them and make sure that their heart's racing and they're like."
That's really good because it sounds like everything you're doing, you're just wanting to help people.
Yep.
It is, and I think a lot of people, I mean, not a lot of people, but some people think that it's invasive, and it's not. I mean, I don't want to jump inside of someone and feel like them, and it's uncomfortable. I went away for a couple of days with my husband, and the weather there was completely different. Um, I felt like my whole body was blown up. It must have been something where like it was kind of like an edema thing with the, the autonomic thing. And I felt humongous and I felt like I was being squeezed to death. I was like, it's like if you wear the tightest jeans you can possibly get yourself into and just barely button them and you have to wear them for a whole like 4 days. That's how I felt. And I was like, I can't wait to go home and get out of this body. It was like someone else's meat suit.
Ufi has a couple of questions. If you want to read those.
You describe your remote viewing technique. Is it conventional CRV? So I think that some people do it in different ways. Some people are just asked questions and I don't know. I've heard where people are given an address. Some people are given coordinates. I think that's the way the government does it. They're given coordinates. I was talking to Ron the other night, and he was talking about something that was going on there, and I said, "Do you have green carpeting?" And he goes, "Yeah, how'd you know?"
And
And
she
I
never
said,
saw it.
"Never
Oh,
there." It was our first time talking,
yep.
and I explained what the outside of his house looked like, and he said, "Yep, that's it." Sometimes I could just talk to someone, and I just picture where they're at. It depends on a person and they're like, if someone totally blocks themselves off, like me, if I put up big steel thick walls around me, no one's getting in. And I think that for anybody who doesn't want a person to get inside of them or know anything about them, or there's like an energy vampire, that's the best thing to do. I don't know how you feel about that, Esther. How do you do it?
Um, I gotta learn to do it 'cause I'm accidentally channeling, from ET. I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't
You
know how to
just,
block it yet. This is something
you
new to
know?
me. It's new to me, so
Oh, okay. Um, that's the way when I had to go into a council meeting, I would know when it was kind of corrupt. So I would go in and I would put my walls up, and however they treated me, that's the way I would act for that night.
when I go to bed at night before I go to sleep, I imagine like a cocoon or something
Mhm.
because I've been woken up by beings, in middle of the night, go away.
Yeah. I
And
was
So
then
with
I
a
just
friend.
imagine a cocoon, and it seems to be working for now.
Yeah,
Oofy
I
had
was
one
trying
more.
to protect.
Oofy had one more question from Marine.
What sort of nutrient regimen do you currently? Oh, I eat whatever I want. Oh, they're looking at me. I figure if I, I was given a diagnosis, well, a prognosis of 10 years, and I figure, what the hell, I'm going out with a bang. So
Live it up.
I'm going to eat and drink whatever the hell I want at this point.
That's right.
I'm going to have fun doing whatever I want.
All right, who in chat wants the next card? I got a card that I've been holding on to here, waiting. Who in chat wants the next card? Raise your hands.
Where's
Nobody's
Bobby?
raising their hand. Anyone? Anyone want this next card? Would Oofy be? Is that Oofy that says yes?
If he said it's Maria's card.
This is Maria's card? All right. All right.
Use a new tool.
Use a new tool. Take that what you will.
It's not working. Use a new one.
Oh boy. No, I think that could be meaning from in the psychic world or in the mental or spiritual
I think that was a
area.
very sarcastic spirit.
Yeah, yeah. All right, who's up next? I just gave Maria that card. Okay, so who's
Let's
up
go,
next?
Bobby.
Bobby up next?
Yep.
We're Bobby? Okay, you will take one. All right. We're kind of running short on time. We'll be done for Bobby, right?
It's going to be Bobby, Oofy.
All right. This is for Bobby.
Getting stronger.
So he's doing the right things, whatever he's doing. He's working on some fine tuning his abilities, and whether he knows it or not, he might not even know it. All right, then who's up after Bobby?
Oofy.
Oofy? All right. All right, let's see.
Ron is selling hats for all the Earthlings. Whoever wants one.
Time to learn, Oofy.
Yep.
It sounds like she is learning. She
Yep.
asks very good questions.
Yep. Well, you only learn when you ask questions, right?
Right.
All right, who's up next? Who is next?
Oofy had said we'll take one, so maybe she needed 3.
CT and Sarah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do CT next.
Ooh, cool. Maureen is a great resource to learn
Thank
from.
you.
Heart.
Really sweet.
Double validation. So CT, you need to keep Oofy in line. What was Oofy's card?
So anybody who wants one of Ron's hats, $29.99, DM him for them. I'm just here to model.
I'll take one.
All right.
Maureen wants a hat.
This
I'm
is
a
for
newbie.
Sarah.
I need
This
a
is for
hat.
Sarah.
Aw, thanks, Maria.
Claire and sentient ability. That's for Sarah.
That's a good ability.
Yeah. So we got Oopie, CT, and Sarah. So who's next now? Who's up next? Maria, do you want one?
Marco says $30 is a bargain. Is it made in America?
I think the patches were made here in New Ulm at a print shop, and the hats were made somewhere here in the U.S. I'm not sure where.
She wants a card, not a hat. Laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Maria.
Okay, who's up next?
Maria wants a card.
Okay, here we go. I don't want to use. Okay, I'm going to shuffle this again. I hate it when I get the same card. Don't you guys hate that? When you got 55 cards and you get the same damn card popping up. Like, what the hell is going on here? And then it turns out, well, the spirit is just telling you that same thing. Okay, now Maria, apparently you're struggling with some kind of understanding or belief. I don't know what, but you need to suspend disbelief. So if you're struggling with any kind of decision making or any kind of understanding of something, put it aside or work yourself through it. All right. And so who's up next?
I had that card last night.
Yep. This is a fun deck. I like this deck. This is the, the deck I'm using. This one here. So.
I thought that said psycho development at first.
We already had that.
All right, who's up next? Marco, did you want a card?
Marco says him and Duff both want a hat.
Well, if you want a hat, you can donate $29.99, or if it rounds it up to the nearest dollar, you can click that big PayPal button on the earthradio.com. And in the notation, when you make your donation of $29.99, you can put for hat. And then we'll figure out your address. You'll have to give me your address, and then or give it to Esther, and then she can send it to you.
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
I have them all because I'm sewing the patches on.
All right, so who's up next? Who was next one?
If he wants 2 hats and a box of toast. I think that's everybody.
That's everyone, because this is a good card if somebody's up next.
It's me.
It's you? Okay. Here you go.
Ask and receive.
That's a good one.
So don't be too shy. French toast. Ooh, that sounds good.
You're asking for French toast?
Well, Oofy has toast. Yeah, Oofy said.
Oofy has a cohort she calls CT, and that stands for Cybernetic Toaster. She has another one.
Who's making it, maybe, though?
She also has Sarah with her.
Sarah's the AI that gives all the correct answers.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that's all the card readings, guys. Well, we got done pretty good, didn't we? All right. Well, Maureen, how do you like being an Earthling now that you're officially?
It's fun. I like everybody.
You're officially adopted.
Can I be unadopted if there's ever a time I don't want to be?
No,
Oh, damn. All right, I'm
it's a
stuck.
lifetime membership,
So it's a lifetime membership of
but
hats,
eternity.
cards, and French toast.
I think it's eternity.
Yep. So you're one of us now. You're an Earthling.
It's weird
Okay.
because all these people to me is weird, but it seems like I know them. Like we were all brought together, you know?
That's the best way because you don't get to see
Yep.
or be around them, but
And then oh yeah, for anyone worried about my weather, we might have our first snow tomorrow.
oh no. It's warm here.
Oh yeah, it's warm here. No, it's not. Actually, inside it was warm. I had to turn on the air because the computer gets hot, and so it's kind of funny running the air conditioner at. Let's see what the temperature is out there. Hey Google, what is the temperature?
The current temperature in Jeffers is 34 degrees.
34 degrees.
And you have the air on? That's not normal.
Yeah, inside it's warmer though. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oofy, that's the way to bring the dogs in.
Now, sometimes what will happen when I ask Google that, it'll tell me in Amboy Township. It's like, did I just go through some kind of time thing or something?
Maybe you went through a different dimension.
Maybe. But every now and then it'll have an Amboy Township, which there was a big argument over what the name of the town should have been. If it should have been Amboy Township or Jeffers. And I'm not sure where Amboy Township is exactly, but Jeffers won the name for this city. And I don't know how a city can only have 349 residents in it, but anyway, it's considered a city.
I don't understand that. I live in a development or borough, and we have 1,600 residents in a 1 mile radius.
Yeah. And we have probably, I don't know how many miles we got for the town, but we have the petroglyphs, the rock carvings that are, over 10,000 years old. We have those that are in our town. And so probably about a 5-mile radius, I would guess. I'd have to look it up. But when you look at it on Google Maps, if you look up my little town on Google Maps, you can look it up and it looks like a postage stamp. So a lot of the one guy, Jade, at Bill's house one time, Bill looked up the town on Google Maps and showed Jade what it was. And this is before we even talked to Jade about my town. And Jade yelled out, "Ron lives on a postage stamp." We just all laughed. Cause it's just a square, one square in the middle of the cornfield, or all the cornfields. And if you look it up on Google Maps, it does. It looks like a postage stamp. So,
Maureen, when you start your show next week,
Yeah.
you're gonna be an admin on ERRT radio shows Facebook page, so you can go in and post whatever you want to, invite people or whatever you want to do and make it yours, and
That might not be a good thing.
no, on the Earth radio shows or on ESTHEROLOGY also too.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll do really good. I think
And
your audience likes you.
Thank you. It'll be fun.
You want to make sure you sign up as a member on both of the pages, and then either one of us will, give you admin, and then that way you can post if you have a show that you're going to do somewhere, and you wanted to get more people looking at what you're doing, then you just post it up there.
So I go to ERRT.
radio shows.
shows. And then
And
you
there's a
hit,
second one?
I think I invited you to it.
and then the other one is ESTHEROLOgy.
Yeah.
What is it?
You can create your own page or stay on astrology, however you want to do it.
And then you get on there and you get signed in and become a new member. And then we'll make you an admin.
Thank you.
And I just make it a whole lot easier to post things. You won't have to wait to, I don't think you have to anyway, but just in case, make it a lot easier.
It'll be fun, I think.
Yeah. And if you have something you want to write about and you share a little story or something, like a weekly blog or something, you could do that too. So.
I like to write.
Yeah. Oofy always shares some interesting stuff all the time on the pages and always has fun stuff to look at and read. And she has a little book cafe thing that she does where she'll share a book about some interesting writing or whatever.
Yeah,
And,
you're already a member on ERRT radio shows.
Oh, good. Go ahead and give her the admin thing. Good deal. I couldn't find her before. That's why I was trying to make sure she was signed up.
She is.
Well, we kept you longer than the hour that you wanted, Maureen. How do you like that?
I know, but I was having so much fun. I just didn't want to.
I knew that would happen too. I knew it.
I know.
We try to make people feel comfortable and have fun here. And
the last thing I want to be doing is making jewelry.
Yep.
I'm putting together divination kits and making jewelry and making wreaths, and I would rather talk to people and teach them things and learn things.
Now, Maureen, you might want to consider creating an email for your new show.
Okay.
Okay. And
So
then
this
that
will
way,
be like 12 emails I have now.
well, just make it personal for your new show, and then that way, if they have a question for you, or if they have a show idea, or if anybody wants to be your guest, they can contact you directly.
Okay.
And then that way, you can. Heck, I don't think you run out of guests. You'll have plenty of people that want to be on.
I hope so. I have some ideas, so it'll be very interesting.
I think you'll like it because you tell a good story. You put people where you're at and how you're feeling and how everything's working. So I think you'll enjoy it.
I always like to talk to people. Oh, this is my doggy.
Oh.
His name's Anubis.
All right. Hello.
I like to talk to people and I like to tell stories, and I've always liked to write, and I like to make it interesting. I don't like to make what I do like a statistics class.
Right.
That was the worst thing I ever took in my life. But yeah, so I hope everybody watches, and I hope everybody enjoys what I do. And I know it's a long night, because ESTHEROLOGY is probably a great show, and
we do what we can,
4 hours is a long time, but hopefully it goes.
Well, we're gonna try to. Me and Esther were talking earlier. We're gonna try to get into a topic. If we can get the book, we're gonna look for the Book of Enoch and look into that. I have it. You have the book?
I have it. I downloaded it into my phone.
Oh, okay. And we're we're gonna do that and just kind of go into some research history stuff and look at that book that she has there.
I don't have the actual book, but I have the Secrets of Enoch. And it's not the same thing, but it does describe the beings that he saw.
Yeah, I recently bought something. I'll never get bored with you guys, trust me. And thank you about the puppy. He's a sweetheart. And I think that the Emerald Tablets of Thoth would be interesting to go
That
over.
Oh, there
would
you go.
be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can have a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
So Esther,
Esther and I are like twins. We're so interested in the same things.
Yep.
You know, it's so weird that we all are. It's all connected. I mean, there's no way all of this is coincidence.
No, everything happens for a reason. I truly.
Yeah, you know,
believe that.
Maureen, I saw you on Entity Voices. I know those guys. I feel like I know them on a personal level, but I never met them yet.
Mhm.
Okay, but I feel like I've known them, and they're part of my family. Okay,
They're wonderful
and
people.
I bought Ron Yakovitch's 2 books that he has. You know,
He's brilliant.
and I'm learning all about the spirit box communication things. ITC communicate, that kind of thing, and understanding what he's talking about when they're dealing with that technology, and to read about that from his point of view. And he was probably, I would imagine, maybe even still is now, a little bit skeptical, But yet when he hears evidence and he gets evidence on one of his boxes, it's like it's real, and then he tries to establish what it is. And so it just, the communication within the box validates what he understands how things should work. Now, what I like about the books, I don't read a whole lot, but they teach me some things about simplicity, about the simple things. Even when you're looking at a ghost box, even I got an SB11 box, all right, and I don't know how to use it correctly, but I do know how to use it, just maybe not correctly. Okay, I got to learn how to use it correctly. And some of his writings, what Ron writes about in his books, it helps explain some of it. And so that's what I'm getting out of his books, and what I get out of some of the other books that I've been reading, and it's just interesting. So I'm trying to learn how to read more, but my mind goes all over the place when I'm trying to read.
Okay, Maureen, when you accept membership into the group, we can make you an admin.
All right.
Because you have the invite, but you have to accept it to join ERRT radio shows.
You.
There's a guy standing behind you.
Me?
No, Ron.
There was?
I see him too.
Behind his right shoulder.
I see that.
What?
It looks like the guy from Scream.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Black.
I don't see. I thought you were talking about my friend Mike.
No, as you started talking about the spirit box, he showed up.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so.
He just like lets it go.
Well, the funny thing is, Andy always says, "Oh, there's someone behind you, Ron." And Andy will always tell me that every single night. And I'll always look behind me and I don't see him. Maybe Andy does see somebody there. I don't know. But anyway.
Big black mask.
That's all right.
But I backed up.
But no,
28 minutes and it's back there.
And so I do want to learn how to use the technology so that I can connect with certain things, I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it to invite any trouble. I don't want to use it to stir up the activity. I do want to use it to learn and to get to know
That
who
scared
I
me.
might be talking with, As you were talking about being curious, curiosity. I'm glad I'm not a cat. I would have been dead about 10 lives ago. So, yeah, I think we all have that an interesting thing within us that we need to know, you know. All right.
It's a journey.
So, and then everyone does know that I do have activity here in this house, and I'm not making it up.
No, you definitely do.
So, and
Look at the face is dark now.
yeah, and I know that I know that when I'm sensing something or I feel a presence, usually not negative. It usually makes me laugh most of the time. Kind of joking around, kidding around, whatever they're doing. So I talk in my sleep a lot of times, and I'm probably talking to them, I would bet. And I don't know what I'm saying, but I know that I'm talking in my sleep. I've been told that by several people. When I was at Bill's this last time, guy was laying on the couch in the living room, and I was in my recliner, and I was talking in my sleep, and they woke up and said, "No, you were talking in your sleep all night," and I don't know why.
Do they tell you what you're saying?
No, but
I've heard somebody asleep talking that's answering questions.
Hmm. Good night, Maria.
yeah, when we were on a car ride as
Maria.
kids, we were going to the cross country family trip, to the memorial sites all around Washington D.C. and everything like that, and we were in a station wagon, and my brother was in the back seat or in the back laying down, and he was talking about baseball, and both my dad and myself were talking to my brother, asking him questions about the Oakland A's. And my brother was answering as if he was awake. And I thought he was awake because he was actually answering questions directly.
He might have been awake somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, he had all the right answers because we were asking him questions about the players, about the different, whatever we were asking him. I can't remember the conversation now. That guy's only like 10 years old then. But I do remember that incident where he was answering the questions as we were asking, as if he was awake with us, and that was weird.
It's fascinating how much sides they are to this everything. Just the whole phenomenon.
It's crazy.
But Maureen, I want to thank you, and I'm glad that I got to meet you on the other show, and we got to meet in person, well, sort of in person.
Thank you.
And welcome aboard to the family. And
Thank you.
I think you're a huge hit in the chat. They all love you. So
Thank you.
So there you go. So you know that you're more than welcome here anytime. And of course, she will have her own show. People remember Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern.
They're getting crazy now.
maybe the dog will join her, and then he'll have his little side bit there he'll be the announcer.
Elixirs, incantations, and cocktails.
Elixirs, or no, incantations and elixirs, where conversations meet cocktails.
Got it.
And
Gotta have the cocktails.
BYOB.
You'll have to come with me, Esther. We'll have some fun times.
There you go.
Oopie, she already just answered the name of her show.
It was so much fun. Thank you for having me on, and I really had a good time, and everyone was really sweet.
I'm so glad Ron brought you. I love other
And I
women.
hope that we made you feel comfortable.
Absolutely. It was really fun. Thank you.
It's a safe place to be crazy if you ever want to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Yeah.
like being crazy. We
Yeah.
can play games.
Yep.
There's tons of
And
games.
I would encourage you also, since you run next to Esther, if you both kind of like um share some of the airspace, right? So like if you want to have, I mean, if Esther wants to, and if you want to have Esther on as a guest, on your show, have her on as a guest,
Yeah, I would love
and
that.
and of
And
course
then,
you can,
sometimes she has prior engagements or something. We can switch it up. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
however you gotta work it
we'll
out,
work, we'll work it out.
and I just want to make this a real fun thing and make you happy and where you can do your gifts that you have or use your talents and be able to help people. Like you're talking about helping. That's what I want too. So we all want the same thing, I think.
It'll
So
be a lot of fun.
yep. All right. Well, we better get out of here for Bobby's Space Wave. If you like some relaxing music tonight, Bobby has about 2 hours worth of nice, relaxing music. I'm not sure what kind it is, Bobby.
Bobby is Master Players Radio and Television plus Gaming on the chat.
Oh, okay.
That's Bobby.
And
Hi,
he
Bobby.
does a show called Space Wave, and he's in 156 or 7,
And it
something
starts
like
at
that.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, he's been doing that show for quite a while.
Sounds good.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. It was a pleasure. Nice to meet everyone.
All right, nice to meet you, and have a great weekend this weekend. Be safe.
Oh, yeah. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Hey, yeah, Oofy wants to friend you, but you can message me or Ron. Anything you want to do, we're always available.
Thank you so much.
Any questions or whatever.
Goofy, I accepted your friendship.
All right.
We're off to a good start already.
Good deal. All right. Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank
night,
you. Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
You, Maureen.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Ertling.
All right. Well, Esther, hey, that was a fun show.
Was a fun show.
Oh man, I didn't know that we'd even get through what we did half of it.
Yeah.
But I think you did good. I think pretty much she just talked on her own.
Yeah, on Entity Voices she did, so I knew she could
Yeah.
talk all about what she wanted to do.
And that's why I wanted to let you know about that show so that you can kind of see how she
Yeah,
reacts and
I
does
was
things.
glad to be able to, you know.
And they leave it up so you can go back and look at it later, and so it's a lot of fun that way.
Yeah, I'm excited for her show.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, the wit stuff, that's new to me,
Yeah,
So
and then she's gonna have her first guest on, and somebody that she knows and wants to talk about certain things that most people don't talk about.
exciting.
So
Certainly
hopefully she
better
can
than TV.
hopefully she can make a post for it on the page and she can get it up there and advertise it and maybe write a little something about what the topic's about,
Yeah.
things like that. So,
Yeah.
all right, I think we better get out of here so that we can do Bobby's show because I got to play his show next on the Mixplayer.
Yeah. Thank everybody for coming and being in chat and participating.
Yeah, we had a lot of people dropping in. They all dropped out, though. They all got tired.
Yeah. Y'all be sure
But
and order your hats.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, order the hat if you want one. And like I said, if you wanted to pay for it, PayPal on the website, earthradio.com, PayPal button, and $29.99, or if you got to round it up to 30, then do that, whatever. And we'll figure out your address or to share your address with us, and we'll get it to you. Don't share it on the PayPal site, but send me a private message or something. All right.
Good night, Bobby. Have a good show. I'll probably drop in.
All right. Yep,
Good
you're
night,
always
Ron.
good. Yep, thank you, and you're always good for visiting with Bobby on his gaming show. I saw you the other night.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you later.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. All right, everyone. Well, that is it. See you all next time on ESTHEROLOGY. What is it? And see you next week at 6 p.m. Eastern with, I forgot the name of the show already, but Maureen's new show. You'll be there. And if you're not, you're going to miss a good one. All right. We'll see everybody next time. Have a great night.